So hello everyone. As you can see, our topic today is invasive species. Which are considered to be one of the greatest threats to marine and coastal biodiversity worldwide, second only to habitat loss. Marine invasive species refers to non-native species inhabiting native environments due to natural or human factors. While many introduced species died out, some species grew rapidly without many predators and parasites and eventually became invasive species. Marine invasive species may cause massive extinction of marine life, destroy biodiversity, and permanently change habitats. They often have strong reproductive and dissemination capabilities, limiting the local fish population. Native predators struggle to compete with them. For example, one of the top 10 most invasive fish in the world, you can see in the slide, the lionfish has high dispersion capacity and has become a dangerous invasive species on the east coast of the United States and the Caribbean. As you can see from the left figure, coastal areas with frequent marine species invasions usually have higher introduction passes, such as ports and other transportation hubs. They are often key locations for ornamental aquatic trade. And now I'm going to move to the second slide, where I listed the common methods and vectors of invasions. Species can be introduced to new aquatic environments in a number of different ways. Commercial marine shipping is the largest source of significant aquatic species invasion worldwide. And among different vectors, it is reported that hull biofouling accounted for about 35% of aquatic invasive species, followed by 20% from ballast water. Organisms ranging from algae and microbes to sisters and crabs can attach themselves to ships' hulls in a process known as hull fouling. And ballast water is the water held in the ballast tanks and cargo holds of ships. It is used to provide stability during a voyage when ships are not carrying cargo or when more stability is required due to rough seas. Aquatic species can be swept up in ballast water when it is pumped into ballast tanks and released into a new environment when the vessel needs to unload or to take on cargo in a new port. The solutions of these problems will be talked later by Isabel. And now let's move to Crystal for some examples.
Okay, and new species will replace or renew the local marine ecosystem in a certain area without being overly dominant. There is a total of 78 of the 232 coastal zones in the world which have encountered an invasion of marine allied species. The common feature of coastal ecological areas that are affected by invasive marine animals is that they are only located in the temperate zones, like North Atlantic and North Pacific. The fact is that areas have more shipping movement. There will be more opportunities for the invasive species to migrate into other areas. Look at the right side of the slide. Here are some examples of the most threatening invasive species caused by human activities, which is zebra mussels. It has a highly spawning rate and excessive members have greatly reduced the local algae. The killer algae spreads widely, taking away the original marine life of the food and habitat. And last one is sea lamprey. It is highly aggressive, so its invasion greatly reduces the reproduction of local fish. Let's move on Scarlett's part.
I'll now be talking about the extent of the problem surrounding marine invasive species. So as mentioned earlier, according to the International Union for the Conservation of Nature, invasive species are regarded as the second largest threat to biodiversity worldwide. They can be harmful for many reasons. The image I have here is of a European green crab, which has a particular effect on the coastal ecosystems of British Columbia. European green crabs are considered habitat engineers of eelgrass ecosystems because they disrupt the eelgrass, changing the habitat for other species. This may then trigger cascading consequences, as it's estimated that over 80% of commercial fish and shellfish species depend on eelgrass habitat at some point in their life cycle. Eelgrass restoration has also been of crucial interest for efforts to restore native salmon populations here in BC. Other invasive species may compete for resources, dominate species niches, and alter nutrient cycles, each of which have different and lasting impacts on the ecosystem as a whole. The effects of invasive species is thus widely diverse and very context dependent, making it difficult for scientists to measure the exact extent of the issue. Can you go to the next slide? This image is from a study done by Molnar et al. In 2008, showing the distribution of harmful invasive species. So as you can see, they're widely dispersed and not isolated to any one region, although there are some visible hotspots in red. The study measured the harm of 329 marine invasive species, basing it upon their ecological impact, geographic extent, invasive potential, and management difficulty. The study revealed that only 14% of marine ecoregions at the time were considered free of invasive species, and scientists actually consider this value as very generous given the knowledge gaps in research on the issue. Of the species measured, 57% were considered harmful, and this meant that they disrupted the functioning of another species or the ecosystem as a whole. Scientists have correlated the rising rates of invasive species transmission with the increase in global shipping and transportation, as this is one of the main means of spreading invasive species. However, little data on the extent and scope of invasive species existed prior to the early 2000s, so it's challenging to know exactly how it has changed over time. Researchers also predict that the harm and spread of invasive species may be exacerbated by changing climates, ocean patterns, and globalization. Given these challenges, Isabel will now talk about some possible solutions.
Local solutions to the spread of invasive marine species include water maintenance, education, and volunteer opportunities. Without proper outer cleaning in boats, marine invasive species are able to attach themselves to the side or bottom of the boat. One solution is to make a homemade cleaning mix of for the bottom exterior of the boat, including a ratio of 1:11 chlorine bleach with water. The second option is to clean additional equipment such as diving equipment, fishing equipment, and paddles, as they could also be carriers of marine invasive species. The common phrase to remember this by is to clean, drain, and dry. Nearby provincial or national park websites also offer phone numbers and online forms to account for sightings. When found early, evidence shows a more successful management of marine invasion. Nearby provincial and national parks offer invasive species walks, removal efforts, and conservations of specific species. For example, Madagascar provides conservation efforts such as reef surveying, community education, and reef regeneration. For global solutions, there is the issue of biofouling and ballast water mentioned earlier. Biofouling is a process where live marine organisms attach themselves to the ship's hulls. Solutions to this include marine growth prevention systems, regular hull cleaning, and the use of biofouling resistant materials. Ballast water is water drawn from the ship's surrounding environment, which can contain non-native marine species. Solutions to this include a mechanical, physical, chemical, or biological treatment of water on board ship or off board, destroying any organisms. And the second solution is to exchange the ballast water for open ocean water during the route to destination. In conclusion, invasive species pose a serious threat to marine biodiversity worldwide, as they may cause massive extinction of marine life and permanently change habitats. There may be more marine ecological areas that have not been reported on marine invasions, and some solutions against further spread include education, ballast water treatment, and exterior ship cleaning. Thank you.